Good evening, VV Nation. My name is Ryan and welcome to the channel. It is Thursday, Semiconductor Thursday. As always, tonight I've got a special presentation for you. We saw CPI data come out earlier, right? Everyone knows it came in at 2.4%. Well, inflation is going to directly impact growth stocks. We're going to take a look at the market climate graph as I normally do when inflation data comes out. So get excited about that. On top of that, I did cover SMCI yesterday on the live stream, right? So I'm going to follow up with SMCI, say exactly what's going on with this lawsuit, what allegations are being brought, and if there's any updates. Also, on top of that, we're going to dive into the VectorVest 7 system. And instead of just giving you my top, semiconductor recommendations, I'm sure you're tired of hearing the same old names, ARM, NVIDIA, AMD, TSM, ASML. But hey, those are great companies, but we're going to utilize the VectorVest 7 system to see what other potential semiconductor stocks are moving even faster than the ones that we typically cover. So let's see if we can find some better recommendations utilizing Unisearch, part of the VectorVest software. So if you're new to the channel and you want some, more guidance and more information about the VectorVest software and the power that you can really harness from it, definitely join me for this presentation. Now let's get started. We're in the VectorVest 7 software. Here's the market timing graph up top. I've got a 50-day moving average. This is earnings per share of our S&P 500 watch list. We're going back to January 2021. Down below, I have the CPI data, historically speaking. Now I'm going to zoom into a 3-month time span. I know the data just came out this morning, so we will not have today's updated data, but last month the CPI came in at 2.5%. Today came in at 2.4. So me personally, seeing it drop, I do like that. I know it's hotter than expectations and the market's not pulling back. But what I am more concerned about right now, I know earnings season just kicking off this week here. If we look at the 50-day moving average of earnings per share, it did decline, coming in at $10.14, while the prior week was at $10.21. But if we zoom back out to a year, we'll see the overall trend of the earnings per share still on the rise overall, but most certainly as new earning reports come in, we'll definitely keep an eye on this and see if there's any more of a decline in EPS. But as far as the CPI data, again, it's at 2.4. It's lower than it was before. It broke out of this channel of consolidation we saw with the CPI data. And I even said it before, if you've been watching the channel, if CPI broke below this channel, that's when we're going to get an interest rate cut. And look, it happened right on cue, so I'm not too surprised by that. But overall, it looks good here as far as earnings per share and inflation data. So if anybody's going to have their facts straight on the story, it's going to be the attorneys, right? Here you can see we've got, shareholder advocates here that, this is a firm, representing potential clients for the SMCI lawsuit. That being said, what they're being accused of, you can see, is facing Broaden Securities class action lawsuit, alleging that the company and certain of its top executives engaged in a fraudulent scheme that inflated the company's stock price. The deadline for this class action lawsuit comes in on October 25th, and the expanded period, if you are a purchaser of SMCI, is exchanged between February 2nd, 2021 and September 25th, 2024. You might be able to partake in this yourself. Big allegations here, materially misstating SMCI's reports, revenues, earnings, and other financial figures, failing to disclose that the company's internal controls over financial reporting were ineffective, concealing material information about related parties and related transactions, claiming to be in compliance with trade control regulations, restricting exports to Russia. That's a pretty serious allegation there. Now, as far as financial compensation, there are several examples here. You can see when the fraud case began on August 27th from the firm Hindenburg Research, which they are the organization that started these allegations to begin with. You can see just from that, the stock price dropped 2.64%. On the next day, August 28th, SMCI announced that it would delay the filing of its annual report on Form 10-K to assess and design operating effectiveness of its internal controls over financial reporting. That was the big drop here, 19.2%. You can see the stock went down $443. And at last, the big drop here on September 26th, when the Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, was getting involved. You can see here with the investigation of Supermicro, another 12% drop, which brought the close down to $402. Now, the most important thing I got here is this. Whistleblower, right? This is a former employee who accused the company of accounting violation. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you see the whistleblowers here. And as I scroll down, you see a section on the whistleblowers. Persons with non-public information regarding SMCI should consider their options and the investigation. But what I didn't know about whistleblowers who provide original information receive rewards totaling up to 30% of any successful recovery by the SEC. Now, you know me, I think pretty logically, who was the SMCI whistleblower? You can see according to Google, nothing is released with the case right now. And then down below, we do see the Hagen's Bourbon name appear once again. That was the article that we were just at before. So that being said, there's no details at this moment when it comes to the SMCI case. This is the Unisearch part of the program. Essentially, you just put parameters here and it will bring back the stocks that you're looking for. The parameter I have here is we're just looking at stocks in either the semiconductor equipment industry or the semiconductor manufacturing industry. This way we get to see all of the semiconductors here. Right now we're looking at the top 20 of anything that comes in the list right now. I did run the search, and for the first example here, I resorted by RT, relative timing. These are telling me exactly which stocks in the semiconductor space have the most momentum to the upside currently. So you can see we got A-Lab, Very, AAOI. Let's graph the top 10 of these. To break down the graph, I've got the 3, 8, and 20-day exponential moving averages. As usual, just keep things simple. Got support, resistance lines here. Down below, I do have our valuation line here, this green line. The blue line, this is our forecasted EPS, or earnings per share. And down below, we have our growth rate in earnings, or GRT. Now with A-Lab, you see this is clearly a momentum play here, being below $40, now trading at 62, just broke this level of resistance as of yesterday, now becoming a level of support at $60. We have another level of resistance at 66 right now. We're approaching that zone at this time. Now, a big concern, it is overvalued, right? But what I like to see is the valuation is on the rise. You see this big jump here back in August, but the earnings per share also on the rise, growth rate, GRT on the rise over the last 6 months, closing out at 51%. This might be a stock definitely have on your radar. You can see the sell recommendations as the stock was trending lower and lower. Finally bottomed out here. If I use a horizontal line, you see that bottom out, several touches, nice clear support. But now with price action, all the moving averages in our favor, and down below, our value, EPS, GRT on the rise over the last 6 months. I like the stock a lot. Next up, we got Veritone Inc. Also, moving averages in our favor, just broke this level of resistance, now becoming a level of support. No buy rating yet, but the valuation here is on the decline over the last 6 months. Definitely don't like that. I mean, if it's overvalued, hey, I get it. A lot of these stocks can be overvalued, but I want to see the value rising, not on the decline. Purely a momentum play as of right now. But the GRT, growth rate, and earnings was negative not too long ago, now becoming positive, along with the earnings per share on the rise. So I am pretty mixed fundamentally, but the stock is trending up. It's doing what we want it to do. So this is another great stock to have on your radar. Here we've got AAOI. I can already tell you've got 2 levels of resistance coming in close here. So if we could just take out this prior high at $17.18, we're just $2 away. And since we've had 2 down days, today and yesterday, I would like to see some confirmation to the upside. But value, look, value's taken a big jump up over the last month or two. Earnings per share on the rise as well. Everything's moving to the upside in the last 2 months. So there's optimism when it comes to the company's fundamentals and forecasted data. And as far as the technicals, it's in our favor. If you already own it, using that 20-day EMA, it looks pretty nice at this time. But otherwise, for confirmation, I'd give the $2 up and wait till the stock enters into the 17s. Now here we've got PI, great stock, buy recommendation, all the moving averages in our favor, earnings per share, growth rate, ending higher over the last 6 months. But again, overvalued. I've said this before. Our valuation, very stringent when it comes to semiconductor stocks. A lot of these are overvalued, so you can see why I get excited when, AMD or NVIDIA, SMCI, because great opportunities are presenting themselves. Now here we've got Red Cat Semiconductor. I've never heard of this stock before, but I will say, as long as it remains above that 20-day EMA, I have optimism in it. No buy rating right now. As far as the valuation is on the decline, earnings per share. This stock actually, let's pass on. There's definitely better opportunities here as we see the 3 rolling over and converging closer to that 8-day EMA. Here we've got Ambarella. This is another one we're going to pass on. Way overvalued. The valuation here declined. Not much optimism right now. If you are thinking about getting to this one, definitely wait to see it break above this prior swing high around $9.50. SIVA not doing so well. NVIDIA on the list, right? I've talked about this last week. It broke out to the upside of the pennant here. This is going to be my level of support. It is approaching its valuation, but still undervalued. EPS on the rise, GRT on the rise as well. So, hey, NVIDIA looks good right now. Not going to lie. And then here we've got Atom. This is actually looking really good. This is a new one to have on the radar. We got the freehand line, broke its downward trend line. A lot of momentum to the upside right now. You can almost utilize that 3 as a stop price if you're trying to capture profits. But right now we are approaching a level of resistance coming in at 364. It's trading at 3. We see 352 right now, just dropped 2. So that being said, hey, I'd give up a few cents just to get some confirmation to the upside. Look at the volume, make sure that optimism's to the upside. But with a bottom wick and a full-bodied candlestick, I like it. It's just overvalued right now. So this is definitely be a momentum play. But EPS on the rise over the last 6 months, growth rate earnings ending at 22%. I wouldn't sleep on this stock at this time. So this is the second thing I wanted to show you here, the sort, right? Before we had it sorted by just RT. This time we're going to take value and divide it by price. If you click on this, you can see you can change the primary sort. This is actually giving me the most undervalued stocks in the semiconductor space. Now the stocks I have highlighted here are the stocks with some of the highest RTs in the list. You can see RTs, struggling to find one above 1, but these stocks, because they're undervalued and struggling, I wanted to make sure they at least had some optimism when it comes to its forecasted data. So for the most part, you're seeing double digits here. Now let's graph the highlighted items. First on the list, we have SOTI. I'm already going to tell you this valuation, this big jump here, you don't see that every day. So I do like that. I'm going to take valuation off. We already know that it's undervalued. Price action, pretty steady. I can tell by these flat bars here, not a lot of volume with the stock. So be careful if you have a larger portfolio. But with this consolidation here, I'd like to see a breakout of this channel, either to the upside at $18.57, and if you can short it, to the downside at $17.17. But if we notice EPS or earnings per share definitely taking off to the upside along with the growth rate and earnings. GRT's at 37, EPS at 328, and the stock is greatly undervalued. But again, if you want some confirmation here, just wait for it to break out to the upside of this channel. We're looking around closer to $19. Next stock, we have Rubicon Tech. This not showing a lot of volume here, so we're going to skip this. We've got Cirrus Logic here. Look at this, earnings per share on the rise, growth rate and earnings also on the rise. We take a look at valuation here. We valued the stock $185. The valuation continuing to climb. But look, the stock is on a pullback right now. I know everyone wants to buy a good stock on a great discount. The 3 is below the 8, below the 20-day. So I'd like to see some kind of optimism here. I want to see this price action get back above that 20-day before I get too bullish. If you're in the stock, I'm going to put my stop right around here in a zone. If price action were to break this zone here between 115 and 108, definitely would be concerned of more downside price action. But as long as we can see support here and price action can get back above that 20-day EMA, this might just be a great bottom fishing opportunity. Now here's ACM Research. You can see greatly undervalued here. Now I don't like this upper wick by any means, so I'd like to see price action get above this resistance level coming at $24.38. But earnings per share, hey, it's on the rise, and the growth rate and earnings actually pretty flat after this fall off recently, but still coming in at 27. But with the valuation at over $30 and stocks trading just under $21, that's giving it more than 30% upside potential. Now, Micron's a pretty popular stock. It's definitely been on the top VST list in the VectorVest software in the past. You can see the valuation. I like this. It is rising like crazy. The stock is undervalued. You see you're buying on a dip right now. Clear level support around $84. The stock's trading at 104, along with the moving averages, all in a bullish manner right now. If we could just take out this prior swing high at 104.59, giving me more confirmation to the upside. Right now it's trading at 104, so not far away from that. But the forecasted data, EPS, growth rate, this stock looks great. I know MU, a lot of people have been sleeping on it lately. But if you're trying to buy on the dip, this might just be a great opportunity. And we're seeing buy ratings starting to appear. Next up, we've got IMOS. I do not like the valuation on the decline, price action on the decline, EPS and growth rate really choppy. So we're going to skip this one. And that's actually the last stock of this evening. Now, I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. We covered a lot of great stocks in the semiconductor industry. The first group was top RT stocks. So that's showing us the semiconductors with the most momentum to the upside. And now the second list, we looked at the most undervalued stocks in the semiconductor space with positive growth rate and earnings. And we tried to find the best RT we could find. We saw some great fish here, Micron being one of them. Now, make sure if you enjoyed tonight's presentation and you see the potential to make some money with the information I gave you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Good night.